The social classes of ancient Rome. The Roman Empire was an empire where its inhabitants knew where they stood in the social order and hierarchy. The society was strong, but it was hard to move up or down the social ranks, although it was definitely possible. Rome considered itself a place where one could "hope that one day he will command," as the first century BC politician Cicero put it in his work On Laws. Within this society there existed three main classes, all of whom played vital and necessary roles within Roman society. The aristocracy. The first and highest class in Roman society was that of the aristocracy, the ruling class. These citizens held places of power in Rome. They created laws and were leaders of armies of Rome. The two main divisions were that of the Senate and that of the Emperor. The Senate and the Emperor often led lives of bitter dislike, as we see in the writings of Pliny the Younger, in which he states how very different Trajan is than his predecessors, how the Senate need not fear open dialogue any longer. Another example is most obviously the murder of Julius Caesar on the Senate floor. Emperors would forever be compared to that of Caesar Augustus, shown in this image. Caesar Augustus was in many ways memorialized, much like our own George Washington. He was the embodiment of what an emperor should be: good, noble, and honorable. He also greatly expanded the empire far beyond its original reach, giving glory to Rome and to himself. This was the goal of all the emperors, for the most part, to be remembered for the rest of history. The office of the Senate was shown by their togas, with the signature stripe as is visible in this scene. The Senate was mainly tasked with the everyday governance of Rome and its armies. In comparison to the emperor, they were not very powerful, but if the emperor did not meet their approval, they could create unrest for him with their political clout and expertise. The Senate was composed of expert orators and politicians. The next classes, as seen in this image, are that of the Roman citizen and that of the slave. Both were not as rich or powerful as the aristocracy, but were certainly not of equal status. In this image, the slaves are drawn much smaller, symbolizing their low place in society. The Roman citizen. The Roman citizen held many privileges within Rome and throughout the empire. They may not have lived in luxury, but they were free and able to make a living for themselves. Many were farmers, but some were skilled craftsmen and artisans. Some were also bakers or tax collectors. And, of course, some were members of the Roman military. The Roman citizens accomplished the tasks necessary for the empire to function. Roman citizens were also able to cast their vote for certain high offices within the Senate. The Roman slave. The Roman slave often led a very harsh life, but if they served their masters well, it was not uncommon for the slave to earn his or her freedom. In fact, there are countless epitaphs which speak to the freedom that slaves experienced. There is also a satire written about a former slave who became a rich landowner with slaves of his own by the satirist Petronius. Many slaves were, however, not that lucky, and never gained their freedom. Some were even treated very poorly, as is evidenced by the life of Marcus Cato, given to us by Plutarch. To Cato, slaves were no more than property, and should be thrown out when they are no longer useful. Many slave owners allowed their older slaves to continue on almost as part of the family. Some slaves, however, led lives of great prestige despite their lot in life. The Roman gladiator. Gladiators were in fact slaves, but they were slaves as are most modern sports players. The glory achieved by gladiators was so great that even members of high classes wanted to join their ranks. There was even a period of time in which the emperor had to issue a decree stating that no members of the aristocracy could leave their positions to become gladiators. The Roman gladiator was forced to fight in the arena and had to kill or be killed. These gladiators often wore masks or costumes representing various nations conquered by the Romans during the course of Rome's history. If a Roman gladiator fought especially well, they could be given their freedom. However, gladiators were not always happy with their positions, as is evidenced by several revolts, most famous of which is that by the slave Spartacus. All three of these social classes helped to make Rome what it was, a thriving city and an even greater empire.